Welcome to Blackout Reads, a series where I play a drinking game while reading a popular book that I don't think I'm gonna like so I don't have to remember it tomorrow. In this episode, I'll be reading Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, if you're watching this video, there is a chance that this is your favorite book and you're ready to rip on me in the comments. Before you do, let me make one thing really clear. I've never read this book. I have no idea whether or not I'm going to like it. Now, I do have a feeling that I'm not gonna like this book, and a lot of viewers who know what I like have recommended this book for this series thinking I'm not gonna like it, but you never know. Just so I get that out there for the record, I am coming in with an open mind. Also, the only things I know about this book is the third book in this series was just released and it's really popular on social media. Other than that, I know the genre of the book is romantasy, and based on the title, it's about dragons, but that's about it. For this Fourth Wing drinking game, I've only made 5 rules, so I found in the last video when I had more than 5 rules, I kind of forgot what the rules were, especially as I got more drunk. Yeah, by the end of the icebreaker video, I didn't even know what the rules were, so hopefully I get more into this book than I did into that book, because this book is significantly longer than icebreaker, at least I think it is. Shout out to all my Instagram followers who have already read The Fourth Wing, who really helped me come up with rules for this drinking game, because I had no idea what to put on it. I will take a sip of my drink under the following conditions. 1. Every time Xaden says violence. I'm assuming Xaden is the male main character. 2. Violet being injured or injury prone is mentioned. 3. And I think early on this one might kill me, Violet has horny thoughts. Rule 4 is I notice a crutch phrase. And 5, which I think honestly might kill me, is I cringe. Now to start this game, I'll be drinking a screwdriver because I think that oranges are relevant to the story and orange juice is in a screwdriver. I have no idea if oranges are actually relevant to the story or if that's just something I read. Again, I have no idea what happens in this book, but I think I saw that, so I'm gonna go with it. Also, I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive that the cover of the book is orange. It might actually be gold, now that I think of it. I'm really not sure. I'm reading it on Kindle Unlimited, so I can't look at it right now, but that also reminds me, if you want to check out this book, it is on Kindle Unlimited. A cool part about this series is there's stuff that I might not like in a book, but I do understand that some of you might like it, so I'm definitely still gonna highlight those parts of the book. My goal in this series is not to tell people not to read these books. You see a lot of video essays on YouTube about how books like The Fourth Wing are completely ruining literature, and I definitely don't think that's the case. Even if I do come out of this video absolutely hating The Fourth Wing, I'm not going to judge you if you like it. In fact, if you do like it, I'd love to know in the comments why you like this book so I can really understand what it is about certain popular books that appeals to so many people. At the end of the day, the whole goal in this series is to have fun reading, because that's what reading's supposed to be about. And believe me, I have a whole lot of fun shooting these videos, and I really hope you have fun watching them. With that being said, I will now finally read The Fourth Wing. Alright, so just a few pages in, Violet is already talking about just how frail she is, which means I have to take a drink. That being said, by the first few pages, I can already tell this is not another icebreaker situation. It's definitely way too early to say, but I definitely think there's a chance that I end up liking this one, or at least end up tolerating it. Icebreaker, on the other hand, icebreaker deserved to be punished. Which actually does remind me, that icebreaker video is currently at 70 likes. If that gets to 100 likes, I do have to read part 2. That's enough about that. For now, let's focus on this book, which so far does not seem so awful. I've just decided I'm going to add a 6th rule where I drink every single time Violet talks about wanting to be a scribe, because I have a feeling this is going to come up a lot in the future of this book. So Mira, Violet's sister, just called her fragile, which kind of rude, to be honest. Hopefully she's not too fragile, otherwise that rule is really gonna burn us. We're like 10 pages in, they're just talking about how much pain this girl is constantly in. Maybe this whole dragon rider thing is not the best career choice. I'm supposed to be dedicating my life to books. That sounds like a pretty scribe thing to say. Are you gonna die a scribe or live as a rider? I'm not going to cringe there, but I'm getting pretty close. It does say scribe though, so I'm going to drink. I'm not going to lie, I always find it kind of annoying in books when a character can either become just like their mother or just like their father. Like, there are other things you can do. You don't have to be like one or the other. Like, I get it, but it's just like, I don't particularly love that trope in fiction. I don't hate it. I'm not going to cringe, but I'm close to cringing. I look like a rider. I still feel like a scribe. I'm going to regret adding this rule, aren't I? So I'm free to take any of the first years I want to bet, I say with a little grin. Just not the 2nd or 3rd years. Exactly, she winks. Horny, horny, horny. I love how her sister goes from giving her like life advice to like just talking about like what the sex life is in the academy. Just based on that line alone, I'm gonna guess that half this book is gonna be about her like staying alive in this crazy dangerous academy that so far actually does feel pretty developed, and the other half is just gonna be like generic love plots that are gonna have like way too much importance, especially considering when like the characters are fighting for their lives. And don't get me wrong, those are both very valid concerns, like staying alive and then love or lust, whatever it's gonna be. Those are both important, but like, doesn't she have any questions about like what the food is like, or like if she can like explore any hobbies? Like, those are the only questions, like how to stay alive and like who to screw? Like, I don't know. That being said, this is just a prediction. I could be completely wrong. Wow, these are hitting hard. She's envious of those who are joining the scribe quadrant. Girl, just be a scribe. You know it's what you want to do. Like, it is very clear at this point that you just want to be a scribe. Be a scribe. I almost forgot to take a drink. And to think I've been preparing for the scribe's written exam all these years. Yeah, you probably should have been doing, like, push-ups or something. Apparently you can't even, like, lift your sword. I mean, and this is not a cringe drink, at least not yet. I get that she wanted to be a scribe, but I do find it funny that she was, like, preparing for the exam. Clearly your mom was going to make you go to dragon school. Like, that was clearly based on how crazy your mom and your sister, yeah, they were going to make you go to dragon school. You didn't have a choice. Why were you even studying for the exam? All right, one thing early on that is kind of frustrating me, and I'm not going to cringe drink because it's whatever, but it is something I'm noticing, is she tells her, like, not to get with anyone who's, like, a second year or third year because you don't want it to make it look like you're, like, sleeping with people to get ahead. Meanwhile, she has her sister, like, giving her advice, like, every step of the way, at least so far. Like, wouldn't that be way more, like, relying on other people to get ahead than, like, sleeping with someone? Like, you're obviously getting help from your sister. Like, I don't understand, like, why, like, that's not okay, but, like, it's okay to, like, get, like, direct help from your sister. It seems like, not like a plot hole, but, like, a plot wrinkle. I don't know. Like, also, I'm like only 6% into this book, which is not to say it's a bad book. With the rules with Icebreaker, it was kind of clear, like, every time I drank, it was just like the book being an absolute disaster. With these rules, it's a lot more like, they're just good rules. Like, I'm not really cringing that much yet. Like, it's just like the scribe rule that I added is really effective. Like, I'm drinking a lot, but, like, I felt like the first few pages of this book started really strong. And now we're, like, starting to see the signs of, like, it's not going to really carry forward. Like, the first few pages, I was honestly almost getting, like, Hunger Games vibes. Like, I was like, because I've been wrong about, like, I don't like to read popular books. And when I finally read the Hunger Games, I was like, wow, this is a really, really good book. I wish I would have read this sooner. And at first, when I read the first few pages of this, I was kind of getting that vibe, like, oh, maybe I was, like, wrong about the Fourth Wing just because, like, it was popular, and maybe there's, like, a lot more going on than I thought was because I didn't really know anything about it. And then, like, I don't know, like, we're starting to, like, repeat the same things over and over again, like, getting a little cheesy so far. It's not so bad, but, like, you can definitely see the signs that, like, I don't know. The first few pages, I was all in. I'm a little hesitant now. Stay the hell away from Xaden Ryerson. Based on these rules, I'm assuming she is not going to do that. I'm actually going to take a pre-cringe drink right now because right away we're getting all these reasons why we should hate Xaden. And, like, it's just, like, one of those, I can feel that you're just trying to build up, like, that enemies thing so you can instantly go to, like, lovers. Like, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I will own up to it. It just feels like one of those things where, like, you're kind of just trying to force these characters to be enemies right away just for the sake of doing, like, an enemies to lovers arc, which I don't hate the trope enemies to lovers. In fact, I do intend on using it in a couple of my really big series, but it's not forced. Like, the characters genuinely do start off as, like, legitimate enemy. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I've just read so many of these stories where it's like the author's just trying to find excuses for these characters to not like each other, only for them to, like, within, like, 2 chapters of meeting each other, like, fall in love. And I'm like, that's not really when this trope really shines. But at the same time, that's my opinion. I know I'm not the main target audience of this book. Maybe I'm just off. But for now, pre-drink. So I'm going to take a cringe drink here, and it's not so bad, at least not yet, but I've really noticed so far that Rebecca Yarros likes to kind of info dump through dialogue, and I've kind of let it go a little bit so far, but right here, this line, plus I've heard that writers are allowed to marry sooner than other quadrants, Dylan adds. It feels very clear that you're trying to world build through dialogue, and that being said, I like world building through dialogue a lot more than just, like, big info dump paragraphs. I hate big paragraphs of info dumping. However, it's clear enough to me so far that a couple times she's done this where, like, there'll be a conversation and then they'll add a bit of lore at the end of the conversation that really did not just gel with the rest of the conversation, and it just doesn't feel like natural dialogue. And honestly, it's really not that noticeable. It's just, like, that's something I've been working on with my own writing, so just seeing it makes me cringe because I've been looking for this in my own book, and just seeing it here, like, it's not bad, at least not yet, but it has been noticeable several times in her conversation with her sister and now with her new friends where, like, it's not as bad as just, like, info dumping in paragraphs, but it is pretty evident that there's info dumping going on at the end of these dialogue segments. So, cringe drink. Violet, this is one of the most horn dog descriptions of a character I have ever seen. The third turns in my direction, and my heart simply stops. He's tall, with windblown black hair and dark brows. The line of his jaw is strong and covered by warm, tawny skin and dark stubble. And when he folds his arms across his torso, the muscles in his chest and arms ripple, moving in a way that makes me swallow. And his eyes are the shade of gold-flecked onyx. Isn't that like the title of the new book? Like Onyx Storm? Like drinking for Violet being a horn dog. Oh, I'm done with this one. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that this man is Xaden. I'm just smart like that. So for my next drink, I'm gonna do a Malibu Cram, because if I do another screwdriver with the vodka, I don't think I'm gonna get that deep in this book. And I really do want to get all the way through this book for this video. So I'm gonna try to slow it down, at least for a bit. I might go back to the screwdrivers after this. Honestly, this kind of looks like blood, and I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of blood, or at least some blood in this book moving forward, so it works. Also, it was Xaden, and she is definitely horning over him, so I'm gonna have to take another drink. That is so good. Good gods, I don't even reach his collarbone. He's massive. He has to be more than 4 inches over 6 feet tall. I'm gonna take one drink for cringe, one drink for her horn dog level. I'm in trouble. The next line, I feel exactly what Mira called me fragile, but I nod. Ugh, why is that relevant? Why are you calling yourself fragile here? It's not necessary. I gotta drink. Also, and this is just an observation, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't have the sons of military leaders join your military as an act of punishment. Like, what? And I'm not saying you should ban them from the military or anything. Again, you're not responsible for your parents' crimes, but you shouldn't force them in there as like punishment. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. This actually seems like the exact thing I would do if I was asking for a Revolution Part 2. I have no idea what this series is about, and I'm completely trash right now, but if this entire series is about a revolution that spawns because of this terrible decision, I deserve a medal right now. I'm gonna have to read all 3 of these, aren't I? I can't remember if I drank before, but I'm drinking now. Oh, no, that was an observation. I don't have to drink. Caught yet. I'm gonna drink anyway. I will say, on a positive note, this book has like little excerpts before like the chapters, and I always like love like those random excerpts like before chapters. Like, I definitely want to include it in a lot of my books, so you get some points back for that. Cringe, 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 cringe. Before I mentioned that, like, in dialogue, Yaros really likes to kind of info dump here and there, but she was kind of keeping it subtle. Not here. As she's like walking across like the beam that she needs to walk across, she's literally just info dumping. She goes, and she's like trying to, and they try to use the logic that she's like talking about stuff to kind of ground her, and like she's like talking about logical facts. And she goes, "The continent is home to 2 kingdoms, and we've been at war for 400 years, she recites. She goes on to say, "Navarre is my home, the larger kingdom, with 6 unique provinces. Like, come on, this is just flat out like, the author's like, what excuse can I use to info dump right now? Like, come on, like, there's no, like, this is just a blatant info dump. Like, I'm cringing. Like, I'm cringing. Like the other one, I almost felt bad to drink because it was subtle, and I was like, it was just my writer brain going in overdrive. This is so like blatant. Like, come on. Like, again, I am still enjoying parts of this so far, but like stuff like this is like taking me right out. Like come on. I'm taking a second cringe drink. It goes on for pages. She's telling us like the entire history of her world while she walks across this beam. Before anyone like criticizes me for being like overly critical of this scene, imagine like you have to like walk across a balance beam and you're really nervous, so the first thing you decide to do is recite the entire history of the United States. I live in New York. New York was one of the first 13 colonies. Like, no. Now, realistically, if anything, you just want to clear your mind and just breathe. Like, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. But even then, if you want to really like relax and ground yourself, what she would be thinking of is like comforting thoughts like she was talking about how she wants to be a scribe because of her father. She'd be thinking about her father, not the history of the world. Are you kidding me? I'm drinking again. This had such a promising start. What the hell is this crap? My knee is sore. What do you mean your knee is sore? All you did was walk across a beam. You're trying to ride dragons, like ride physical dragons. What you can't. How is she already injured? Okay, so her friend Dane is a part of the 2nd Wing Squadron, so I'm assuming like the title, like the 4th Wing, comes like she's gonna be a part of like the 4th Wing Squadron. It could be completely wrong. I'm just guessing here, you know. I'm trying to throw some predictions in for people who have read the book, you know. You can tell me how wrong I am or like whatever in the comments. I'm shooting for it. She's limping. She's like 10% of the book in. She's already limping. Like, what? Like, you're screwed. You're screwed. She's injured. You're supposed to be in the scribe quadrant, he sees. The scribe quadrant. Scribe, injured. I'm so cooked. But me, I have to fix it so my kneecap stays where it's supposed to. It's not just my muscles are weak. My ligaments that hold my joints together don't work for shit either. You know, I do kind of feel bad because clearly she has like some sort of like disability going on, but like doesn't change the fact like, why are you in dragon school? Why like, this is terrible parenting. This is the worst parenting I've ever seen, at least in this series so far, which to be fair is only 2 books, and we didn't really meet the parents in the first book, at least from the half I read. But I'm taking a drink because she's so injured. She's so injured. She hasn't even gotten on a dragon. All she's done is walk across the thing and kind of stumble, and her kneecap is out of place. Do you know how bad that is? Like that. Your kneecap is out of place? I can do quite a few things with my tongue. You'd be impressed. She's such a horn dog. Alright, we're 2 drinks down and we're 11% into the book. Oh shit. You'll break the first time that you're put in the sparring ring. First of all, Dane, that is negative Riz. Second of all, calling her fragile, that's a drink. I was figuring she'd get like hurt like early on in trading and it'd be like something she had to deal with, and that's why it was so prevalent. I did not realize that was gonna be this bad. This is a really big problem for this whole game. If we get you to the scribe quadrant right now, like we get it. She could have been a scribe. Like it's over. She's not gonna be a scribe. Like you don't have to remind us every 5 pages. Like we get it. She's gonna ride dragons. She's not gonna be a scribe, even though she wants to be. Whatever. It's over. Can we just like move on? Like I think as readers, we already understand that this is a character who wanted to be a scribe and can't be a scribe. Like we got it. We got it. I'm so hammered. This is so very bad. Mind you, we are 11% in. 11. And also, like, the actual book didn't start to, like, page 4. So, we're really, like, 7% in. Kindles are weird. Although, I won't lie, I actually really like reading on my Kindle. Like, I love, like, when, like, if there's a book that I really like, I love having, like, a physical copy of it. But I really enjoy reading ebooks. Like, I don't know if that's just me. Like, what are your thoughts on ebooks? Let me know in the comments below. Oh, so she moves from first wing to fourth wing. That's Xaden's wing. Like, that's the name of the book. Ah. I'm not gonna lie, this recent few pages has actually been pretty good. Honestly, the most weird part of this book so far, like, there are, like, pages and pages where, like, it seems so poorly written, and then it, like, returns to form. Like, there are pages where the book is, like, really good, and then it just, like, falls off, but then it comes back, at least so far, which is, like, it's really odd. Like, it almost feels like it's obviously this is not the case, but it almost feels like there are, like, 2 different people writing the book, and, like, one person, like, is really good at writing, and the other person's just, like, and there's, like, it's strange. Okay, I think I've noticed my first crutch phrase, and I'm not really a person who really notices crutch phrases that easily. Some people are really good at noticing authors use, like, the same phrases a lot of times. It's not something I normally notice, but I've noticed pretty quickly that Violet raises her chin a lot. Like, we're only 12% of the book in, and I'm already noticing, like, I've read the phrase raise her chin several times. So I'm taking a drink for the crutch phrase rule. Which means the final rule we're still waiting to drink for is the Xaden calls her violence rule. And I feel like that's probably going to happen later on in the book. Right now they have barely any relationship at all, other than he's, like, her squad leader or whatever. I'm going to try my best to drink until, like, he says, at least drink to that at least once. Like, that, I'm going to try my best. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to try. Like, I want to drink for all 5 rules this time. In reference to her knee, she goes, "It hurts, but I'll live. I've had far worse injuries." What do you mean you've had far worse injuries? You're, like, what, like, 18 years old at most? I haven't caught your age yet, but, like, you're, like, 18 years old, you're in dragon school, and your knee's slipping out of place, and you've had worse injuries? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why did your mom think this was gonna... Did your mom want you to die? Like, was that the plan? Did her mom want her to die? Because she's screwed. Which is exactly why I've always wanted to be a scribe. Not that it matters now. You're right, it doesn't matter now, so stop bringing it up every 5 seconds. Oh my god. I regret adding this rule so much. I mean, not really. Like, I do like the drinks, but like, come on. I lift my chin. Yeah, I've already noticed you tend to lift your chin a lot, which is, it's also like a strange crutch phrase. Like, there are a lot of them out there. Like, the sigh is the most common crutch phrase, but like the chin lift, I mean, at least it's original, but like, definitely a crutch phrase at this point. She's writing down everything everyone says as if she's in the scribe quadrant. Get over it. You're not gonna be a scribe. Like, it's over. Like, you're not gonna be a scribe, Violet. All right. Just accept you have to ride the stupid dragon already. I was trained to be a scribe. I shrug. Shut up. Stop talking about trying to be a scribe. You're not gonna be a scribe. Like, let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Shut up about the sun. Shut up about the sun.
The guys are mostly shirtless because they think shirts give the opponent something to grab onto. Personally, I'm not arguing with their logic, just enjoying the view, respectfully. Dude, your knee is like slipped out of place. Like, the second you go into the ring, you are so screwed. I know there's gonna be like some like plot element that like keeps you alive, but like, you are so screwed and you're like busy looking at how they look without their shirts. Like, what? Like, dude, like, you can hardly walk and you're supposed to like fight someone. Like, that being said, ultimate horn dog. Violet, you gotta get your priorities straight, like, now. Here she says, if I wasn't as breakable as a porcelain teacup, but here we are. Why are you here? Why are you here? Drink gone. We get it. You're fragile and you want to be a scribe. Like, how many more times are you going to repeat yourself throughout this book? So I'm switching back to the Malibu Cran, first of all, because it's absolutely delicious. And second of all, because I really haven't seen any blood yet in this series, and I'm like expecting at some point for there to be some blood. And with like Violet going into like the arena, I'm assuming she's gonna get like the shit kicked out of her. Like, she's gonna bleed a lot, or someone's gonna bleed, right? Like, it seems weird how we have like all these elements like of like sex and this and that, like, but no blood. Like, even though 70 like cadets have died, there's been no bloody descriptions of their corpses. So I'm anticipating that coming, but maybe it won't. We'll see. I'm just trying to make an excuse because I want this instead of the screwdriver, because I don't like the screwdrivers. At least not as much as these. These are nice. So this here is not a drink. It's more like me like just trying to digest the worst trade deal in the history trade deals. So her friends are not good at history. So they want her to teach them more about like the history of their world. In exchange, they're going to teach her how to fight, which like completely lopsided. On one side, you can teach anyone who can like remember stuff history, but like teaching someone whose like body is falling apart how to survive, like yeah, I'm sure there are like fighting stances you can teach her, but like most of them involve bending your knees, which at this point already she can't do. So like what are you gonna teach her? Like, I don't. And again, I can be wrong. I have to read further. It's just like, if your knee is slipping out of place because you're walking across a beam, I don't understand how any fighting training can help you like fend against somebody who's like good at fighting. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So, newsflash, I just learned that the reason like I always lose charge during these videos, it's not because I don't charge my phone. It's because the mic I use is plugged into my phone, and like my phone is charging the mic, so my phone uses charge. So anyway, if my audio sounds worse, it's because I am now just talking straight to the phone. But that being said, if you're still here, you're a real one, and I respect that. So if you haven't already, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, what are you doing? Like, anyway, Violet just got her arm ripped out of her socket in her first duel. So again, no blood, but that's going to be a pretty significant injury. Her arm is broken, and like her shoulder needs a surgeon. And all she did was spar once, like one time against like one partner who wasn't even like a really challenging person to face. Like, it was not like an intimidating foe. Like, you know how in these books, like, there are a couple like opponents who get like hyped up? Wasn't even one of those. random girl snaps her arm, ripped it out of her socket. Like, just go home. He or she says, I'm not going to the scribes. You know what? You're right. You're probably going to die if it was for plot armor. I should not have added the scribes rule. The scribes rule has absolutely sucked. When you're as brittle as I was born, the pain of mending is only second to the pain of original injury. Basically another Tuesday. I guess I'll take a gulp? I'm going to take one cringe drink, even though I have like 2 reasons to take a cringe drink. For one, this school is the most cringe concept of a school ever. You have children of evil war generals trying to take like vengeance on war heroes' children, which makes no sense. Like, why would you let that happen? And B, I'm also going to take a drink because I was going to take a drink. Oh yeah, I'm also going to take a cringe drink because this whole concept of saying me like, oh yeah, don't touch her, she's mine. Like, come on, like this book kind of felt like it had potential at the beginning, but it's becoming like this. I don't know how else to say it. It's becoming garbage. It's becoming garbage. Fascinating. You look all frail and breakable, but you're really a violent little thing, aren't you? Violent. He called her violent. It's the last one. We've hit all 5 drinking rules. Also, he did say she was frail, so we gotta drink again. This is what I can't stand about this book. She goes, he has the kind of power that could end me without him having to do as much as lift a finger. A sentence later, I hate how beautiful he is. How are you thinking about those 2 points in the same, like, come on, like, I'm cringing. I'm cringing. I lift my chin. I'm convinced that, like, this entire book has been designed to make me drink as much as humanly possible, because it's not that bad. It's just it is starting to get a little bad, but like the cringe rules are just they're killing me. Like we're 20% in. Like I'm cooked. I'm done. Also, I don't think I've written the words I lift my chin more than like once. I don't think I've ever written those words, I lift my chin. So like, the fact that it's already been in this book like 5 times, like, so this is not like a drink cringe thing, more like me pointing something out, which maybe becomes relevant in the series. You clearly have these groups of people who like dislike the revolution results meeting up, and she's like, I'm not gonna tell because like she's strong. No, this is like a huge red flag that something's going wrong. Like you should this is like the one thing that you should probably tell about, like large groups of like revolutionary friends like meeting up in the dark, like is like the one thing you should probably tell your mom about. Like most of the things that happen in this school, you should just like, you should keep quiet. Like you're an embarrassment. But like this is like the one thing where you should be like, hey, sister and mom who are like higher ranked, the younger people who are the children of the people who we killed are meeting in secret. Like we should talk about that, right? Like, am I reading that right? Like, I feel like that's something we should not allow to rise in our military. Now, as of right now, it seems like she's not going to talk about it because he's like high ranked, which is even more of a red flag. But like, honestly, I respect that more than her being like, I'm not going to tell my mom because he's hot. Rhiannon is in her bed. At least one of us got an orgasm last night. Bitch, your freaking shoulder got ripped out of your arm. The fact that you're even thinking about this, like, really makes me wonder. Here's what's frustrating me about this book. Half the time, it expects you to take it seriously, and then the other half, it's like complete bullshit. Which, it's weird. Because the half that's real is kind of interesting. But the bullshit half is so stupid, and it's like the disbelief you're expecting between the two halves is so it's so absurd. So last night I wrote my bonus round rules, I got comfortable in bed to start reading, and I fell asleep right away. Today, I won't lie, I'm feeling a little bit hungover, but unfortunately, I still remember everything that happened in this book yesterday. Well, actually, I don't want to say unfortunately. There are some parts of this book that I definitely don't like, but I don't think it's that bad of a book so far, and I am enjoying certain points of it. I've decided that today I'm going to continue with the bonus round because I really want to finish this book. That way I can give my full thoughts on it at the end of this video. For the bonus round, I have to take a shot if one of the following happens. She does it with Xaden, she bonds with a dragon, a relevant character dies, or finally, I discover a galactic plot hole. Now, I don't think I'm going to end up discovering a galactic plot hole. I don't know if this book even has a major plot hole, at least from what I've seen. Again, I haven't read it yet, but I definitely think these other three things are going to happen, so we'll see how this goes. I really hope this book does start getting better again, because I felt like last night, each scene was worse than the last. Right now, at least from what I've read so far, I don't think this is a bad book, but I definitely think it's pretty overhyped. I know that I'm not the target audience, but I think that's still fair to say. But who knows, maybe the best has simply yet to come. Spoiler alert, if I haven't said that already, starting now, every drink I will be taking will be for a major event in the book. So obviously there's going to be spoilers when I explain what the drinks were for. And we have the first death in the squad. Rest in peace, Orly Donnins, or however you say it. You'll be missed. To be honest, I did not care about this character that much, but I will say this death scene does do a pretty good job of reminding you that anything can go wrong for any of these characters at any point. And this is the element of this book so far that I really am enjoying, that you built up this character kind of saying that they've done obstacle courses like this all the time, only for them to slip once and it's over. I hope that this death actually hits Violet really hard and she doesn't just instantly go back to thinking about how Xaden and Dane are hot. Prior, or however you say her name, just got absolutely scorched by a dragon. She's dead. I'm probably saying her name wrong. I think I'm saying half the names in this book wrong. Probably all of them except Violet. But nonetheless, rest in peace, Prior, if that's how you say it. I'm now 33% done with this book, or on page 225, and I have to say my hopes are starting to be restored. This past chapter was pretty good. So Violet didn't bond with a dragon. She bonded with two dragons, which means I have to take 2 shots. I think this book was literally designed to kill me. Speaking of killing, a character did die, although I don't really remember that much about them, so I'm not going to drink for it. Earlier in the story, we were introduced to like a really cool badass dragon that's really, really big, and how there's like only one of them. And I assumed from then that she'd be bonding with that dragon. But then there was a really, really weak dragon, and I was like, okay, it's definitely going to be the lame dragon that she bonds with. It turns out she's bonding with both of them. At least that's how it appears, which, it's gonna be interesting to see how that works. I did not expect to drink twice for that dragon bonding rule, but that's why you read the book, because you never know what's gonna happen. We are 50% of the way into this book, and Violet's #1 D1 hater, Amber, just got scorched, so to that I say, good riddance. In parts of this video, especially earlier on, I've definitely been a D1 hater towards this book. Do I think this book is absolutely incredible? No, I think it does have its fair share of flaws, but I will say, perhaps I was too harsh, or at least that's how I'm feeling now, 50% in. At the very least, I can at least see why so many people like this book, which is a lot more than I had to say about Icebreaker. I don't understand how anyone liked that book. Like, honestly, I couldn't even force myself to finish that one. Please don't force me to finish it. But this, I actually do want to finish this book. I want to see where it goes. So her dragon being horny makes her horny. There were so many different directions you could have taken that whole mind connection thing, and that's the first one you explore. I'm sure there's still time to explore other directions, but that's the first one we're gonna explore. I'm genuinely at a loss for words. I mean, it's original. That's all I can really say. So it turns out oranges are relevant to the story. Violet ends up using oranges to defeat one of her other enemies in this story, Jack, one of the other characters who wanted to kill her. And so yeah, I guess it's a good thing that we drank these screwdrivers at the beginning of this video. Oranges are kind of a strange weapon to use in battle, but I guess you gotta use any advantage you have. So Violet finally got her powers. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but bonding with dragons gives you like superpowers type thing. Anyway, she finally got her ability. It's like to use lightning, and she instantly uses it to absolutely murk her #1 enemy, Jack. So I guess drink to that. Then she finally got it on with Xaden and almost used her powers to accidentally melt the entire room. So I guess I'll drink to that too. With that, I'm gonna conclude the bonus round. I'm done drinking for this video. I'm gonna finish reading the book so I can give my final thoughts. So I finished reading The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I've taken a couple days to really digest what I read, and now I want to end this video off by giving a review of this book. Fourth Wing is flat out not a good book, but it is a fun book, and I can understand why people love it so much. I've seen a ton of videos on YouTube with people absolutely bashing this book, and I'm not going to do that. I think, honestly, the reason why people are bashing it so much is it's so overhyped, and honestly, sometimes in some of those videos, there seems to be like a little bit of jealousy, like, in the tone where they talk about the book. I'm not going to do that. I don't think this was a good book, but I'm not going to be overly critical. That being said, I'm going to talk about why I don't think this is a good book and why I think it's still fun despite that. First, let me start by talking about my problems with this book. There are so many issues with this book. The plot is overall pretty weak in my opinion. The dialogue is borderline unreadable at points. I mean, half the book is just about how horny Violet is, but in reality, I feel like the biggest problem with this fantasy book is the world building just is not there. In a book like this, with magic and mythical creatures and a whole political system, there should be a lot of world building, and there just isn't. I feel like after reading this entire book, I know so little about the world where this dragon riding academy takes place in. The best way I can put it is the world building in this story kind of feels half-baked, almost to the point where Rebecca Yarros is just putting the minimum amount of effort into the world building just so she can focus all her time on the romance. And let me emphasize once again right here, my problem with this book is not the romance or the smut, it's that this entire book is kind of centered around this revolution type plotline, and yet the world building for that revolution is so minimal. And I guess what's really perplexing for me as a reader and a writer is even though some of the story elements in this book are kind of cliche, there were the pieces there to build a very interesting world, and it just didn't quite happen. Even the dragons, which this book should definitely be focused more on, don't have enough world building for me to be satisfied. And I guess if that was the only thing I really felt that was wrong with this book, I could give it a pass and say, hey, I like more world building, this story didn't have that, but the rest of it seems really complete. But it wasn't. For example, I actually did like Violet as a character, but I don't think her character was good enough to kind of overcome the poor world building in this story. I also found it kind of frustrating. I do understand she did overcome a lot. She was against the odds for a lot of this book, but at the same time, it felt like some things like the magic just came so easy to her. There are a lot of things that Violet is not good at in this book, but everything she is good at, she is the best at. She's like the best at throwing darts. She has the best dragons. She has like the best magical powers. And honestly, I probably could have turned a blind eye to that too, but the one thing that I could not get over is how quickly her mind went from like devastating event to just complete horniness. People Violet knew and was friends with would die, and 2 sentences later, she'd just be talking about how hot Xaden is. And honestly, what I think that did for me as a reader is it kind of took away the stakes, because it's hard to believe that Violet is actually in danger, even when she is actually in danger, when she's constantly just thinking about sex, because clearly if you're thinking about sex, then you're not that worried about your life. Another character who I didn't think I was going to like, and I actually ended up liking a lot more, and being a lot more interested in than I thought I would, was Xaden. In fact, my only real issue with Xaden is how quickly him and Violet completely fall for each other. I get them liking each other, and I kind of guess I wish their relationship would have gone slower, especially after they kind of got together. Just the way they go from being people who kind of like each other who but aren't together to, oh, I can't be anywhere without you, I need you in my life, like you're the only one for it just felt too quick. It just didn't really feel earned, and I guess if this was like a 1-book standalone, then it would actually be fine, but considering this is like a 5-book series, it seems really interesting that all of this just happened so quickly. It felt like that could have been paced out, and I really wonder what the rest of the books in this series are going to be like, especially considering that all this romance stuff already happened in the first book, because again, the plot is kind of lacking in this book. And now talking about the plot, I know there are some people out there that'll be like, oh, this book is all smut, no plot. That's not the case. There definitely is a plot to the story. There is a direction where it's going, but at points it really does feel weak. And to be honest, the reason why I didn't start this talking about my issues with the plot is because I feel like a lot of that plot weakness comes from the weakness in the world building. And I think another big reason for this is the plot elements were kind of there in the story, but there was just so much focus on the romance that they were kind of on the back burner until the end where they kind of became prominent again. For example, the stories about the Wyverns and her distrust of her mother and the loss of her brother were all there from the beginning of the book. However, her horniness kind of overshadowed them the entire book, to the point where when they return in the end, it kind of feels like meh. Also, getting a little bit off track here, but I just thought of it, the fight scene between Violet's squad and the Wyverns was in my opinion, absolutely terrible. In fact, I found most of the action scenes in this book to be really underwhelming, which was really frustrating because there was so much effort being put into the smutty scenes. Like in the smutty scenes, there seems to be so much effort into description, it's just frustrating why that's not there in a final battle. Also, Violet getting stabbed and still being completely horny for Xaden was infuriating. Now, fast forward to the end, I actually was surprised by the reveal in the end. I know when this book first came out, I saw people like reacting, making TikTok videos like, oh my god, like reacting to the ending. I didn't think it merited that much of a response, more because I didn't really care about this character or the revolution in general, because since I don't know that much about the world, I still barely understand what's going on beyond the fact that Xaden is a central part of it. And that's really the most infuriating part about this book for me. With the proper development and effort, I feel like that reveal could have been a lot better. And talking about people's reactions to that scene and this book in general really brings me back to my main point, which is this book is definitely overhyped. Nothing in this book really strikes me as super original or incredible or worth the ratings that this book gets. I mean, you can honestly find a lot of these same plot lines in other popular books in the past 20 years. This book is not this amazing must-read fantasy book that so many creators have hyped it up to be. But it was fun to read, at least for the most part. Sure, as I've already mentioned, there were parts of this book where I was rolling my eyes, or I was like, this is completely ridiculous, this would never actually happen. But that being said, I did still enjoy the story, and I did want to finish it. I was not just reading it to finish this video. I found it really fun to hate on Dane from the beginning for not having any faith in Violet. While Violet and Xaden are hardly enemies to lovers, even though the book does try to kind of pin them against each other for like 5 seconds, their relationship was fun to see develop. While their dialogue is completely cringe, it is kind of cute at points. Also, this might make me sound like a monster, but I really enjoy when characters die, and while some of the reactions to character deaths in this book were not appropriate, Rebecca Yarros definitely offered plenty of character deaths for me to enjoy. In addition, and I will say, I think this is one of the main reasons why this book became so popular, it's really easy to read. Now sure, some literary snobs out here on YouTube will make fun of some of the lines, rightfully so, in this book because at points it is a little poorly, kind of childishly written, but at other points this book reads real easy where you can enjoy the story without really straining yourself on some more complicated words or terms or really getting confused, and I think that's really important to have in books. Not every book can be as difficult to read as The Hobbit or Hyperion or Solaris, to name a few. Books like The Fourth Wing get people back into reading, and I think one of the major reasons why this book was so popular was for many people it was the first book they read in ages, and overall I think that's a good thing. At the end of the day, I think the people who love and are raving about this book are hyping it up way too much, but on the other hand, all the D1 haters for this book are also being way too harsh. Therefore, on a 5-star scale, I'm giving Fourth Wing 3 stars. That's my opinion. I'd love to know what you think about this book in the comments below. But yeah, that's really all I can say. This book was not a good book at all, but it was a lot of fun and the vibes were right on. Unlike Icebreaker, which was absolutely terrible, I actually enjoyed reading this. I don't regret making this video. I'm honestly almost glad I didn't black out for this one. That's gonna pretty much do it for this review and this video. Let me know in the comments what books you'd like to see me do next in this video series. If you enjoyed this video, which I'm really assuming you did because you're still watching it, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out and it really helps me make more videos like this. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you have a great day.